Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottama Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tatajam Udiret Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Hare Krishna. Today we continue Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2nd, Chapter 1st. The first step in God realization. Shloka 18 and 19. Niyachet Vishebhya Akshan
नियच्छेद विषयेभ्यो अक्षान्
Manasa Buddhi Sarathihi
मनसा बुद्धिसारथिः
Mana Karma Bhi Akshiptam
मनः कर्मभिः आक्षिप्तं
Shubha Arthe Dharayadya
शुभ अर्थे धारयत धिया
Tatra Ek Avayam Dhyaye
तत्र एक अवयवं ध्यायेत्
Avichinena Chetasa
अव्युच्छिन्नेन चेतसा
Mana Nirvishaya Yuktva
मनः निर्विषयं युक्त्वा
Tata Kinchana Nasmaret
ततः किञ्चन न स्मरेत्
Padam Tat Param Vishnoho
पदं तत्परमं विष्णोः
Mana Yatra Prasidati
मनः यत्र प्रसीदति
Niyacheda Vishayabhya Akshan
नियच्छेद विषयेभ्य
Manasa Buddhisarati
मनसा बुद्धिसारथिः
Mana Karma Bhi Akshiptam
मनः कर्मभिः आक्षिप्तं
Shubha Arthe Dhara Edhya
शुभ अर्थे धारयत धिया
Tatra Ek Avayavam Dhyayat
तत्र एक अवयवं ध्यायेत्
Avyuchinena Chetasa
अव्युच्छिन्नेन चेतसा
Mana Nirvishayam Yuktva
मनः निर्विषयं युक्त्वा
Tata Kinchanna Smaret
ततः किञ्चन न स्मरेत्
Padam Tat Paramam Vishnoho
पदं तत्परमं विष्णोः
Manaha Yatra Prasidati
मनः यत्र प्रसीदति
Niyacheta Vishayabhyo sorry Niyacheta Vishayabhyo Akshan Manasa Buddhisarati Mana Karma Bhi Akshiptam Shubha Arte Dharayadya Tatra Eka Avayam Dhyayat Avichinena Chetasa Mana Nirvishayam Yukta Tata Kinchanna Smaret Padam Tatparamam Vishnoho Mana Yatra Prasidati. Hare Krishna.
नियच्छेद विषयेभ्य अक्षान् मनसा बुद्धिसारथि मनः कर्मभिः आक्षिप्तं शुभ अर्थे धारयत धिया तत्र एकवयवं ध्यायेत् व्युच्छिन्नेन चेतसा मनः निर्विषयं युक्त्वा ततः किञ्चन न स्मरेत् पदं तत्परमं विष्णोः मनः यत्र प्रसीदति
Translation and purport by the Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gradually, as the mind becomes progressively spiritualized, withdraw it from the sense activities, and by intelligence, the senses will be controlled. The mind, to absorb in material activities, can be engaged in the service of the personality of Godhead and become fixed in full transcendental consciousness. Thereafter, you should meditate upon the limbs of Vishnu, one after another, without being deviated from the conception of the complete body. Thus, the mind becomes free from all sense objects. There should be no other thing to be thought upon, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, is the ultimate truth. The mind becomes completely reconciled in Him only. Purport. The first process of spiritualizing the mind by mechanical chanting of the prana onkar, and by control of the breathing system in is technically called the mystic or yogic process of are fully controlling the breathing air. The ultimate state of this pranayama system is to be fixed in trance, technically called samadhi. But experience has proven that even the samadhi stage also fails to control the materially absorbed mind. For example, the great mystic Viśvāmitra Muni, even in the stage of samadhi, became a victim of the senses and cohabited with Menka. History has already recorded this. The mind, although ceasing to think of sensual activities at present, remembrance remembers past sensual activities from the subconscious status and thus disturb one from said person engagement in self-realization. Therefore, Shukdev Goswami recommends the next step of assured policy, namely to fix one's mind in the service of the personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead also recommends this direct process in the Bhagavad Gita 6.47. Thus, the mind being spiritually cleansed, one should at once engage himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord by the different devotional activities of hearing, chanting, etc. If performed under proper guidance, that is the surest path of progress, even for the disturbed mind. Foolish person, bewildered by the external energy of Vishnu, do not know that the ultimate goal of the progressive search after happiness is to get in touch directly with Lord Vishnu, the personality of Godhead. Vishnu Tattva is an unlimited expansion of different transcendental forms of the personality of Godhead, and the supreme or original form of Vishnu Tattva is Govind or Lord Krishna. The supreme cause of all causes, therefore, thinking of Vishnu or meditating upon the transcendental form of Vishnu, specifically upon Lord Krishna, is the last word on the subject of meditation. This meditation may be begun from the lotus feet of the Lord. One should not, however, forget or be misled from the complete form of the Lord. Thus, one should practice thinking of the different parts of his transcendental body, one after another. Here, in this verse, it is definitely assured that the Supreme Lord is not impersonal. He is a person, but his body is different from those of conditioned persons like us. Otherwise, meditation beginning from the Pranav Onkara up to the limbs of the personal body of Vishnu would not have been recommended by Shukdev Goswami for the attainment of complete spiritual perfection. The Vishnu form of Vishnu worship is in great temples of India are not therefore arrangements of idol worship as they are wrongly interpreted to be by a class of men with a poor fund of knowledge. Rather, they are different spiritual centers of meditation on the transcendental limbs of the body of Vishnu. The worshipable deity in the temple of Vishnu is identical with Lord Vishnu by the inconceivable potency of the Lord. Therefore, a neophyte's concentration or meditation upon the limbs of Vishnu in the temple as contemplated in the revealed scripture is as is an easy opportunity for meditation for persons who are unable to sit down tightly at one place and then concentrate upon prano, onkara or the limbs of the body of Vishnu as recommended herein by Shukdev Goswami. The great authority, the common man can benefit more by meditating on the form of Vishnu in the temple than on the onkara. The spiritual combination of AUM, as explained before, there is no difference between Onkara and the form of Vishnu. But purpose, unacquainted with the science of absolute truth, try to create dissension by differentiating between the form of Vishnu and that of Onkara. Here, it is indicated that the Vishnu form is the ultimate goal of meditation, and as such, it is better to concentrate upon the forms of Vishnu than on impersonal Onkara. The latter process is also more difficult than the former. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवाञ्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांच नमो ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात देशतारिणे वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. Today we continue Srimad Bhagavatam Canto, second chapter, first, the first step in God realization. Shloka 18 and 19. In 18 shloka, they're describing about the um mind, how the mind becomes progressively spiritualized and draw it from sense activities. Uh, how the mind absorbed in material activities can be engaged in service of the personality of Godhead. And in second shloka, they're describing about the meditation, how we do meditation. Um, uh, Shukdev Goswami not accepting meditation of Omkar, Om. They told about the hearing, chanting of the name of the personality of Godhead. That's meditation. And so many points they describe about. Prabhuji will tell us in nicely in detail. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyecha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Viṣṇubhyo namo namah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. So Shukdev Goswami ji, after highlighting the importance of the Omkaraha, is now telling that we need to have the mind become progressively spiritualized. The mind has to come out of all the sensory activities, and thus the senses have to be controlled. The mind then automatically becomes absorbed in the material, in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thereafter it can be fixed in the transcendental consciousness. Hare Krishna. And once it is fixed in the transcendental consciousness, thereafter a person should be able to completely meditate upon the four limbs of Krishna, one after another, and he should ensure that he is completely freed from all sense objects, because there is absolutely nothing to think about once you know about Krishna. He is the ultimate truth, and once you know about ultimate truth, the mind has to be reconciled in Krishna only. And that is the way a life should be spent, especially by someone whom death is very near to. But then, as we see the descriptions, most of these things are about yogic practice, because even when you are talking about, say, pranayam, the objective is to attain samadhi, trance. Yesterday, we were today only morning we were hearing some lecture uh, on the second canto only of the fifth chapter, wherein Prabhuji was talking about the power of breath control, the how the sky gets transitioned into sound, and how all this may seem imperceptible to the human brain at first, but is practically informed everywhere in the Vedas, and so it is true. And that is why we come across those pranic healers, the Reiki systems of medications. But then the ultimate objective of all of these, if you see, is to get into a trance. And even there, if the mind is materially conditioned, it can immediately relapse into sensual thoughts. And we have the example of Viśvāmitra Muni. He was in a samadhi, but still he failed. So the subconscious mind carries impressions, and that can disrupt our spiritual focus. And hence, especially in Kali Yuga, yogic practice alone is not recommended. It has its limitations. Vis-a-vis that, devotional service is quite superior. In fact, Shukdev Goswami ji recommends Bhakti Yoga as the safest, surest path, especially for disturbed mind, and whose mind is not disturbed today. So he says that fixing the mind in hearing and chanting under proper guidance purifies and spiritualizes it. And repetitive practice, it is not mundane. It actually does more cleansing, deep cleaning, and elevation of the consciousness. And through it, we can reach the stage of being a self-realized soul, which we Krishna talks about in the fifth chapter of Bhagavad Gita from Shloka 20 to 25. Because such a person is not affected by dualities, pleasure, pain. He is eternally joyful. He relishes inner spiritual bliss. A realized soul, he rejects material sense pleasures in favor of the higher taste of divine service. And Yamunacharya, he quotes, wherein we know about him, how he writes about disgust towards the sensual pleasures after experiencing the bliss of Krishna's bhakti. So, what Shukdev Goswami ji is trying to tell us is to have sense control if we really wish to experience inner happiness. A true yogi is able to control the urge of anger, desire, as well as senses, because that is very, very important, especially when it comes to Kali Yuga. And if we all remember in Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna says a similar aspect in the fifth chapter. I'm not remembering the exact shloka, but yes, yeah, it was in the fifth chapter wherein he talks about Karma Yoga. Yeah, how it is important to always be in happiness and to control all kinds of desires. शक्नोति हि एव यः शोधुं प्राक शरीर विमोक्षणात् काम क्रोध भवम वेगम स युक्त स सुखी नरः. So that's very, very important. Kama krodha udbhavam vegam sa yuktah sa sukhi naraha. So before giving up the present body, if we are able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger, then the person is well situated and is actually happy in this material world. Because anger arises when material desires are unfulfilled, leading to mental agitation. And inner joy is real, it is lasting. It allows detachment from the fleeting pleasures of this material world, because whatever we talk about in the material world, it is just temporary, it is fleeting. यो अंत सुख अंत आराम तथा अंत ज्योति एव यः Sayogi Brahma Nirvanam Brahma Bhuta Adhigachanti. One whose happiness is within, who is active and rejoices within, and whose aim is inward is actually the perfect mystic, is liberated in the Supreme, and he ultimately attains the Supreme. And not only this, once we start the practice, we also feel the liberation and we understand the difference about welfare work. Because real welfare work is reviving Krishna consciousness in others. Physical welfare alone is temporary. A liberated devotee, being free from sin and doubt, he acts in full divine love and benefits everyone. Because that is the order which he has received, that he has to give benefit to everyone. लभन्ते ब्रह्म निर्वाण ऋषय क्षीण कल्मषाः छिन्न द्वैतः यत आत्मनः सर्वभूत हिते रतः. So he is सर्वभूत हिते. For all living entities in welfare work, he is rataha. He is engaged. And helping others reconnect with their eternal relationship with Krishna is the highest service to humanity. So real happiness comes from penance and purification, not sense enjoyment, which even animals have access to. Spiritual perfection is a trained state. Even artists, at least, they practice. So similarly, devotees too must practice devotion seriously and consistently. The yogic success is very, very fragile, while the devotional service has unfailing power. Through hearing, chanting, internal reflection, even a restless and conditioned mind can be purified. And the ultimate welfare lies in spreading Krishna consciousness, not in temporary relapse. This path seems challenging, but it is blissful who pursue it with sincerity and under proper guidance. Because this helps us in understanding the real meditation, which is supreme. The ultimate goal of meditation is to concentrate on the personal form of Govinda, not on the Omkara feature. So, temple worship that we see the deities out there, it's not idol worship, it is a bona fide spiritual process. It's mentioned in uh, Naradiya Pancharatra Paddhati. Deities not different from Viṣṇu. And so, you have to give all the reverence to the deities because he and Krishna is same because of the inconceivable potency. And it's definitely superior as compared to impersonalism. Because what the impersonalists think about is merging into Brahman, which is difficult, not difficult, it is very difficult, extremely difficult, and it is incomplete. The best of the bona fide impersonalists, they also struggle. And Mayavadis, who reject the personal form of Krishna, they fall from Brahma Jyoti. Patanti Adha. So the Brahma Jyoti is full of innumerable jivas like pencils of light without material bodies. And without devotional service, they eventually fall back to the material world because of boredom, unsatisfied desires, and so on and so forth. That is why when Krishna is talking in Bhagavad Gita, he starts off with the Ashtanga Yoga and peace. Because Ashtanga Yoga leads us further towards liberation. But it is very difficult to practice in Kali Yoga. While devotional service, which is the topmost ladder, Bhakti Yoga, it is superior, it is practical, and it enables controlling the senses and attaining spiritual perfection. So Prabhupada ji mentions that true peace comes from Krishna consciousness alone. If one is really desirous of attaining peace, then one must understand that Krishna is the Bhokta, the supreme enjoyer. He is Param Purush, he is Param Purush Bhagavan, Param Ishwara, the supreme controller. He is Maha Ishwara. He is also Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. He is also the best friend of all living beings. And that is why whatever happens, it is always as per his plan and it is best for us. But if you don't understand this about Krishna, his Bhokta status, his Maheshwar status, his Suvrudam Sarvabhutanam status, then there is no peace. And because there is no peace, there is no real happiness. Shvetashvatar Upanishad, it mentions that Supreme Lord is above all demigods and controllers. It comes in 6.7. And in 6.8, it is mentioned that he has no work, he is not equal to anyone, and he operates through his natural unlimited energies. So, the conclusion for these shlokas is that meditation on the personal form of Krishna or Viṣṇu, especially through deity worship, through devotional service, is very effective, accessible, and complete path for spiritual advancement in this age. Impersonal paths that we know about, they are difficult, they are incomplete, they are risky. Only by connecting with Krishna, we can attain true peace, knowledge, and happiness. And that is why Parikshit Maharaj is being guided in such a wonderful way by Shukdev Goswami ji. He's asking, please have your mind progressively spiritualized. Because the moment the mind becomes spiritualized, it gets withdrawn from the sense activities. And even the sense activities get controlled because of intelligence. So we need to get this mind, which currently is absorbed in material activities, to become engaged in the service of Krishna, because that is the only way we can fix in full transcendental consciousness. And the moment we are into transcendental consciousness, it will be ensured by Krishna that we are not deviated. We become free from all sense objects. And because Krishna is the ultimate truth, the mind will become completely reconciled in Him only. So let us take this key takeaways. Let us chant, let us read, let us take Krishna Prasad, let us associate, and let us wait for Krishna to shower His mercy on us and enable us to get the ultimate objective of our life, which is Krishna Prem. So I thank all of you for joining. We have just recently started Canto 2. So the more we read, the more we hear, Canto 2 actually clarifies a lot of our misconceptions. So I was hearing the other day, Canto 2, Canto 5, Canto 9, they are Canto 3, they are very important. The more we read, the more we realize about Krishna. And the more we realize about Krishna, the more becomes our resolve to be Krishna Das rather than being Maya Das. And this is exactly what Shukdev Goswami ji is explaining to Parikshit Maharaj. Slowly, steadily, he's increasing the levels with which we should be keeping ourselves ready to face the final exam of our life, which is death. Thank you very much.